Hi guys, Victoria here for Beyond Paper by Victoria. Today I'm sharing with you a new gift box from Tonic Studios, and it's called the Buried Treasure Gift Box. And as you can imagine, it's going to make a beautiful treasure chest. So I have one completed and one virtually completed, so I'll just show you the completed one here. So it's a beautiful little treasure trunk. And we've decorated it there with the rawr captain. I don't know if that was a good impression or not. Watching Jack Sparrow. Anyway, you've got little shells in here. You've got the skull and the crossbone. I've just done a little scroll there with some black ribbon. And we've just decorated it. We've gone round with the deboss and we've used some of our Nouveau Mousse. So we've used the Cosmic Brown, I think it's called, which just gives that little aged look. And the box kind of hooks in at the front. You don't think, when you're making it, you think there's an overhang and it's not going to close, but it does. It kind of tucks in. So you have these little glue tabs that you place at the front and it just tucks inside. So quite a roomy box there. It goes together quite unusual. It's a little bit different, this one. And you have the hinges as well on the back. So we're going to plod on. We're going to make one. I do have one here that's not quite finished yet, but I'm going for a children's toy chest. So we're going to have toys written here and maybe an A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. So we've gone off piece there with a different kind of theme. So I'll talk you through the dies as I always do. So for this box, you're going to need one of these, okay? This is going to be your roof. You're going to need 4 of these pieces, which is also the sides of the roof. You're going to need 2 of this die and 2 of this die. These are the little pieces that go in the middle here to join the box. Okay, so that's those there. You'll need 1 of these, but I actually cut 2 and I glue them back to back just for a little added strength, which is this piece here. This piece here is the little tabs that close the lid, and I do that again. I do 2 back to back. It says on the instructions 2, so I do 4, but it's personal choice. You'll find your way as you go. This is the die for the decoration here, so you want to cut that twice, so you've got 4. This you'll need 2 of, which is the hinge for the back here, so you'll need 2 of those. This little, where is it? This little ring here is your little handle on the side. Now I've actually cut that out of brown cardstock because it's adhered to the card. And then I've cut another one. I've cut the tabs off just to decorate it in the gold, because you know how difficult mirror card is to stick. So that's what we've done. We've used this decoration here, which you'll see here, and the lock. And then you've got your skull and your bones. You've got shells, another shell, like your seaweedy type decorative die there. And then here you have a choice of either having a matten layer on your corner or this beautiful embossed design there, which is just, well, it's a deboss. It's absolutely beautiful. You will need to cut 4 of these for the corners. So you're going to need 4 of those. And then you're going to need 2 of these, which is to create the roof portion here. I was going to say roof. Now then, this is where I say it's made a little bit differently. So let me just take these off if I can get them off. Maybe not. There we go. So this die here, this is the wood grain here. So you're going to need 4 for the front and 4 for the back. So you need 8 in those in total. This one is for the roof here, and we're going to need 7 of those. And then again, this one here, you're going to need to cut 8 in total, 4 for each side. This, in the instructions, it says 3. I found for me personally 4. But like I say, you will find your way. And I'll explain everything as we're sticking and we're gluing. So I'm going to put this to one side now. and bring in. Now, I haven't actually cut out any decoration for this apart from a lock, because I don't actually know what I want to put on it yet. I want to do something a bit different. So we're just going to go with the basic construction so you can see how I have created this, okay? So there's lots of pieces. So like I said, this is the roof. So we'll put that to one side. These two portions, we've already got one made here. So that is part of the roof. So we'll put that over there. So let's start with this section, shall we? So let's bring them in. And all my little pieces. There we go. Right. So the front of the box and the back of the box takes one of these, and the base takes one of these, but I cut two for the base because I like to cover up the workings at the bottom. That's optional, okay? So as you will see here, I've gone for the longest plank, because that's what they are, planks of wood, and I've put 4 on that panel, okay? So I've gone ahead and done one, and I've partially done another. So as you see, I'm going to glue this section to the bottom here, okay? So we'll do that now. Okay. So place that down there. And they all fit on there really well, okay? So that's our front and our back done. Now the sides. Now the sides are a little bit different. So as you'll see, we have 4 of these, okay? Let's move those out of the way. And as you'll see, there's a score line and a score line. Now this is a narrower tab. We're going to place adhesive on that little tab there. So just go along just on that tab portion, and then you're going to stick its counterpart to it, okay? And you'll do that until you've joined all 4. So again, we'll put adhesive on that little tab, and then place that die cut down, and repeat again on this last section, and then down he goes. Now you are left then with a bottom little tab. Now this is personal choice again. You can leave it there if you want to. I found it a little bit long, so I've just snipped that away, that little glue tab at the end, so we're left with 2 panels exactly the same, okay? So we're going to put that to one side. Then you're going to have 4 of these corner legs, and I've got some decoration to add to this one. So these are the little layers you can add. As I said, you can add a layer or you can add a deboss. It's up to you. So I'm just going to put these on here. I was thinking that this could actually make a great man's tool chest. It could also, if you put a rack in the top of it and made it out of like silver galvanized, it could be a barbecue. If you put some little legs on it, it could be a barbecue. Add a little rack here to the side where you'd have your little sausages. And if you're somebody that likes to play with clay, you could make your own little sausages and bacon and whatever on there. So that's just another idea that you can use for it. And I'm sure there's plenty more that you've actually thought of when you've seen it yourself. Could make a doctor's bag with a handle on the top. Make it out of black cardstock. Could be an old-fashioned doctor's bag. So, could be even a drinks cooler, I guess. I think there's just loads of different things you could think of. And if you really took it apart, American mailbox, like we did with the hamper box years ago. This is a slightly different construction though. Put wheels on it. It could be a burger van. caravan. There's just a few. So there we go. We've got the 4 legs. We've got them all decorated. So what we're going to do now is add adhesive to 1/2. Okay. And then take its partner over to the other side and glue that down so it's more of a solid leg. I'm going to do that on all 4. There we go. There we go. And last one. Obviously you're going to let yours dry a little bit in between, but we're just going to soldier on and get this lovely box put together. So as you can see, you've now got your 4 solid legs. So these side panels glue just like that to the one side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add adhesive, and I tend to put the floor in last. Now the instructions could tell you different. This is just my preferred way, guys. So I tend to bring that panel to the other panel, bring it to the top, and leave a little gap at the bottom. This is where your floor's going to go in. Like I say, you might want to do different, okay? So that's going to be one side. So naturally, your front panel is going to go like that, okay? So, again, adhesive on the inside of there, a little bit more. And then you're going to offer this to the side and then pinch it and hold it with your fingers. Okay. And just make sure we're all straight and level. There we go. So now you've got a front and a side. So we want to encapsulate that other side, don't we? So I'm going to repeat the process. We're going to add the adhesive into this side portion. I mean, you might find another way that suits you better. I always say, don't I? There's never a right way. There's never a wrong way. It's whatever suits you. We're just here for a little bit of guidance and some inspiration. So if you've got any queries, just, you know, you can always put them in the comments section and I will get back to you when I can. I try to keep a close eye on it, but sometimes. So as you'll see, you've got a nice flush finish to the top. We've left a gap at the bottom because obviously we're going to put a floor in, okay? So as you'll see now, we're going to add the corner to the front, all right? So like we did before, we're going to put adhesive on the inside, like so. And then we're going to butt that to the top, just like we did on the other side. And we're going to hold that down there. So now we've got to add our other side piece. So make sure you get it opposite the same way, so they're going this way across. So like we did before, a little bit of glue on the inside of that bracket. And then we're going to tuck him in, flush to the top, little gap to the bottom, so that we've got room for our floor. And just like we did with the other side, we're going to add the other bracket. So of course we need to put adhesive on this section. There we go. slide that one in, and I tend to turn it over so that I can see where I'm going, and I've got the desk to push against. Okay, so then we're waiting for that back section. Okay, so the back section is going to slide in there like so, but before we do that, we want to attach our roof. So this piece here, I tend to curve, and I'm going to go off screen whilst I do it because I've no other choice. Whoops. She drops it. There we go. Come on, Victoria. Dropsy, dropsy. So what you're going to do is curve that piece. Okay. So if you've got something round that you can use like a rolling pin, you know, then by all means use that. So you can see here we have one end panel. To achieve this, you have this piece with all the little teeth, and what we want to do is place adhesive on all the little teeth, all those little pegs. Okay, all the way along. And then we want to take one of these nice face up and then put that corner right on the edge and just hold that till it's grabbed and you know you can move on. And what I tend to do is then hold a couple more, and then I tend to flip it so it's on a flat surface, bring that round to its little partner, and then press with my fingers. Okay. And then you just go along, making sure you're all pressed in there. And if you want to, you can use your bone folder or your precision tool, whatever you have to hand. And then what we want to do is cover the teeth with a nice clean die. So put a nice clean die cut there on that section. Cover all your workings. We don't like to see those. And then cover that up. Cover the other side. And again, you can press it down against the desk so you've got something to work on, which will help. And there you have a lovely finished end section there. So what we want to do next, just press that down a little bit. What we want to do next is add adhesive to the inside of this section. Okay, not that bit, Victoria, spilling it. Just on this section. Okay, so just put glue all the way along there. And then what we're going to do, because there's no front or back to this yet, we're going to bend it in and then bring that level with the front section there. And then it will naturally find its way. And then you want to just pinch it at the back so that it's almost level with your hinge, and then just hold that. Okay, it just slides in. So it's just above that score line. That's perfect. That's where we want it to be. So now we want to do the other side. So again, we're going to add adhesive to the inside. And again, in he goes, level with the front, hold it, and then curve to the back to make sure we're all in at that back. and then smooth that out. And as you're kind of smoothing it out with your fingers, you're naturally going to get that curved shape there. Okay, so now we've to decorate this. So this is where your little planks come in. So adhesive on there, and I will work from the front section to the back section. So as you'll see, line that up, take it right to that edge, and then we move on to the next section, and we just work our way along until we've got all those sections glued in place. So take it to the next one. Try not to get any gaps. Really glue one section up to the next section there. Okay. And you'll just take your time. You'll make sure they're all dry until you're happy, and you move on. And you're going to do this from front to back. Okay. So then we just keep on adding them. There's 7 of these planks to add to the top section. Okay. So you should just have enough space either side to put this plank when you put it on. Okay. If you've got more of a bigger gap, then this isn't quite square on. This needs to be quite square on when you put it together. All right. So just add that, and then we'll move on to the next sections. So we'll just keep going till we've gone all the way to the end. So add a little bit more. And you can curve these slightly beforehand if you want to. It will naturally find its shape, because you're going to just keep pressing until you know that glue has grabbed. Now I have a slight gap there, so we're just going to push him and make sure that we've got no gaps. And again, next section, and then add that one. Again, no gaps. Let's hold him in place. There we go. Get your fingers underneath for support, and then you've got something then to press against. I think sometimes that's one of the biggest issues, isn't it, when we're putting 3D together? It's getting your hands in and giving it support whilst you're getting it to dry. So we've got 2 more sections to add to this roof. So let's add this one. Now the reason I say start front to back or back to front, it's really up to you which way, whether you start at the front or whether you start at the back of the box. It's up to you really. I tend to go normally from back to front, because we don't want this section to overhang the score line, but as long as you've gone neat from the front, it should all then line up. But if you want to, I'd go from the back to the front. So add adhesive to that section there. Last one there. There we go. You don't want anything to stop this back section from moving back and forth. This is why the hinge has like a double score line, and it's so that the hinge can keep moving backwards and forwards. So we're just going to add that glue there. Now, I have made a mistake with this box, okay. I would have glued this section here, this glue tab, onto the front there. And then I would have covered it with the plank across the back. So for this purpose, I am going to glue it to the inside. It's just so that when you open the box, you're not going to see the hinge from the inside. That's the only difference. But what you would do before you add this last section, you would glue that to there, and then you would cover that with a plank. Okay, so for this one we are going to glue it on the inside because I've not got any more cut. Oh, it's absolutely pouring it down outside. My goodness me. So we're just going to slide it in place. Bring him down. There we go. The only difference is you'll see that on the inside. Right. So now, I mean, obviously let yours dry a little bit longer than I have. Now, like we did before, we put the glue on the inside of those. We will do the same here. Okay. I put my floor in last. It's my preferred choice of making it. But you might find you like to add your floor first. Okay. Apologies if you can hear the rain. It is absolutely teeming it down. And I've got a leaky gutter and I can hear it pouring out. Oh my word. That's a lot of water. Right, so then we're going to slide him in. And down he goes. And then you're going to pinch it from both sides. And you're going to make sure it's all level. So maybe just do one side at a time if that's easier. And then I'm going to bring this side in and I'm going to push against that and make sure we're all even. There we go. You can then push down with your bone folder from the back, or I should say from the front. There we go. And he is then in place there. And you see how it all lines up there across the back. I'm just going to press there a little bit longer because I need time to dry, of course. But you see how neat you're getting that finish there. So now we have the floor. So I tend to push one in from the inside. Now this is where you have a bit of choice. You can either glue that in, and then we have some other sections that we're going to add. Okay, so we have these sections here. I'll show you them now. So we need to cut 2 of these and 2 of these. Now the reason I say to you, it's up to you now where you go with this. You can glue the floor in now, and then you can wrap these sections over to join it, so you've got a frame, and you can have that as your bottom, or you can cut yourself an extra one of these and cover the bottom completely. This is up to you. This is where your personal choice comes in, but you need to make your mind up before you actually place that in there. Okay, so personally for me, I like to add a little bit of glue to the corners, like so, just like that. I then place it in, and it naturally will want to go down, like so. And I'm doing this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, then I would go in with my bone folder, and I would then press those down onto the tabs like that. Okay, then I would add these sections in. So put adhesive on these tabs like so, and then place these down. Now you might like that look on the bottom. It's personal choice. Okay. Got a wonky corner there. So then we bring this down there and just work our way around like we've done at the back and the front. And I tend to put all these on and then go round, make sure they're adhered well. So down that goes. Yeah, I think I've gone a little bit out on one of my corners there. Too busy talking. And then add this section. There we go. And then just make sure you're all, see how I've gone out here slightly because I've been too busy talking. It's not quite square on, so if it had been, you would have had an equal spacing, but I've just gone slightly out there. It's my fault. Too much yapping. Too much yapping. Right, so now I am going to add a piece to my floor just because I like that neatness. There we go. But had I got that corner right, there wouldn't be a gap there. Okay. But it's glued now, so there we go. See how we're slightly out there because that corner is out. And I am annoyed. There we go. So that is your treasure chest. Now, excuse me. Dear me. Right. Now then, all the bits we've got left. Now you see how I said to you before you've got an overhang, and that just looks completely wrong. And it is, and it's because your lid tucks inside the top of your box. And you see how you have this section jut out here? That is your rest. Okay, so the side sits on the rest. So then you see this and you go, well, that doesn't look right. That doesn't feel right. All will become clear. So you have these little glue tabs, and in the instructions it says to cut 2. I cut 4. I glue 2 back to back. So they're a little bit more like chipboard. Okay, because they will get somewhere. All right. Then what you want to do is tuck, she says, you want to tuck one underneath. All right, and just hold it in place. It needs to stick out about that far. Okay. And this is why it needs to be a little bit thicker than just a piece of card. So again, a little bit of adhesive, glue the next one on. Now you could have these in a different colour. I've just gone with the same colour. And again, I'm going to tip it because I can't get my finger in there. A little bit more glue might be helpful. There we go. So just hold that in place till you you know you can move on. Now you could glue those on before you glue your lid if you want to. This is where I always say you will find your own way which works best for you. Alright. So there you've got your 2 glue tabs. Okay. I think one I've got further out than the other, but hey ho. We're not going to split hairs about it. There we are. So now we have this top section and you need this piece. Like I said, I've glued 2 to 2 back to back. And then I add glue just to that bottom section there. And then I glue this to that top wood panel. Just in the middle. There we go. And it just fits in nicely there. And then you're going to let that dry before we move on. Okay. You have a decorative little piece here for decoration. So I'm going to go ahead. Have I got my tweezers handy? Probably. Oh, there we go. We have. I was going to say probably not, knowing my luck. So we're just going to add that little decorative piece there to the front. Now you could be going gold or a rusty coppery colour, whatever your theme is. And then I have a little lock which I'm going to then add to the front as well. So I'm going to have that about there. And you could go in and put a little black middle in there. Okay. So now you see you've got these sections. Okay. So we're going to pinch that lid now. And we're going to squeeze that to there. And then you're going to kind of hug those tabs and push them back until your lid goes behind this section and those pieces lock that in place, and then it gains its shape. So you don't think it will, but honestly it will. So now you can see where you have those little rests there each side. So we want to make sure that that curve and that straight edge go to about there each side to put these decorative pieces in. So again, we want some wet adhesive on there, and then you get a better positioning once your lid is shut to find out where it would look best once the lid is closed in. And then we add the one on the other side. Okay. And then push that into place. There we go. And let's do the other side. There we are. And then we've just got to add the hinges at the back. And then until I can make my mind up, I might add some flowers to this one and have a little floral chest in some corals and bubblegum colours. I think that would look pretty. Very pretty. So now we're going to go to the back of the box there. So this is where your hinges would sit. And as you can see, you have like 3 score lines. And I would score each side there of those score lines. You've got more of what's the word I want to look for? A thicker score line, basically, more like a book hinge. And you do that on both pieces. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to add adhesive to the 2 kind of like frilly sections of it, if if that makes sense. And then I'm going to put those score lines right in the middle of where that the box, I should say, the book. Got books on the brain. See, cinch has arrived and I've got books on the brain. What can I say? So that hinge then would be in line with where it's going to come backwards and forwards, and let that dry before you start opening and closing it. So again, we're not actually putting glue on the middle of that binding bit, we're just putting it on the swirly bit each side so that it's got space to move backwards and forwards. And you might want to put one side on at a time. It's completely up to you. This is the way we're going. And you will need time for that to dry, okay, before you start playing. And but that's with the hinges on the back. That's with your decorative pieces on the side. And that's with your lock on the front. And think I'm going to go some florals here on this one. But that is your beautiful buried treasure gift box. Okay, so like I say, you will find your own way with it. You might prefer to put the floor in first and work your way around that way, but I tend to like to do the floor last. And if I wasn't chatting at the same time, we would have got this corner square. It's slightly off, as you can see there. So just take your time and you'll get a really lovely little treasure box. So like I say, this one's going to be floral, this one is your treasure box, and this one is going to be my toy box. So we've got a different theme for each one. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for joining me today. As always a pleasure. And as always, homework, housework, affiliate links are in the description. If you would like to purchase from me, it takes you straight to Tonic. There's no extra fee for you to purchase from me, no extra cost added. I do gain a small commission from each purchase, and it's gratefully received because it helps with these tutorials. So please guys, if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, let me know where you're from and what kind of crafting you like to do. Okay guys, so thanks very much for joining me today. Happy crafting.